So, as a burnout therapist and someone who creates a lot of content around burnout and anxiety and all of those feelings that come up, feelings of lost and all of that, I get a lot of comments from people where it's quite clear to me that this isn't burnout, that this is something more severe. And I want to touch on that today. Now, I want to make sure that if you're watching this and you're listening to this, perhaps you're feeling some of these feelings that I'm going to mention today. And so just make sure that you're engaging with a health professional, whether it's a doctor, a naturopath, a psychologist, a social worker, a counselor, someone who is checking in on your health, an osteopath, physio, all of those things, they're going to help you go, there is emotional pain here. And we need to understand what is going on because everything is interconnected. Now, again, burnout versus depression. I want to touch on it. I want to talk about it because whether you're listening to this now, where it's December and it's this time of year where burnout is rife for a lot of people, or whether you're listening to this at a later time, there are some signals that this is way more than burnout. So, one of the most common comments I get on my videos, particularly over on TikTok, is I've been working on this for years. I've been burnt out for years. I can't get out of bed. Nothing makes me happy anymore. These are the signs that it's depression. It's way past burnout now. Burnout is you have that physical, mental, spiritual exhaustion, but you still want to do things. You still want to see your friends. You still want to do things. It's like you just don't have the energy to do that. So you need to rest and take care of yourself, almost like you've got a glandular fever or a flu or something like that. So there's a period of a few months where you maybe just need to slow down and rest. But there's still something in you that wants to do things. Now, when it's more like depression, it's you lose that wanting to do things. So not only do you not have energy to do things, but you also don't want to do anything either. So again, clear difference is burnout is you want to do things, but you just don't have the energy. So maybe you pull out because you're just so tired or you're a little bit overwhelmed, but you want to. There's a part of you that really wants to. Depression, you don't even want to anymore. And again, usually the key difference is if you've been working or feeling like this for a few months, more likely burnout. If you've been feeling like this for years, it's more likely depression. And also, if you've been feeling like this for a lifetime, it's more likely trauma, unresolved trauma. Now, don't get me wrong, we all carry with us trauma, past wounds, but if it is affecting your daily functioning and your ability to have a meaningful life and enjoy life, that's what we look at. So, with all of this, whether it's burnout, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, we are all going to have those moments where we have feelings of feeling something. There's a difference between having a state of anxiety and a state of sadness or doom or gloom or overwhelmment versus living with this day in, day out. Yeah. And so that is the key difference here is how long have you been living with this and how much of an impact has it been having on your daily functioning, right? And so if you've stumbled upon me because you thought that it was anxiety or burnout, and from what I'm saying, it's clear that it's maybe depression or it's maybe trauma or it's adrenal fatigue or fibromyalgia or all of these sorts of things like endometriosis, PCOS, a lot of these commonalities, Hashimoto's, for example, again, all these like autoimmune conditions, right? Have been because you've experienced trauma, you've lived in fight or flight for so long that literally your adrenals become tired, adrenal fatigue. You are so worn out by the pain and survival mode that you have been in for so long that you don't know any other way. And if that's you, first of all, I'm really sorry that you're having this experience. I know it might be hard to hear that it's not just burnout, because I know that that's confronting for people too. Maybe hearing that, I thought this was just burnout, or I thought maybe everyone feels this way. And to sort of realize, actually, no, it probably is more serious. And I need to engage with a health professional and do something about it. Because recovery, yes, you can do things in your own, on your own, in your own home, but recovery doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through connection and community and healing, healing through friendships, through your health professionals, through engaging out in the world. You know, there's even studies that show that even if you go sit at a park by yourself and you're not actually talking to anyone or engaging with anyone, but you're literally just out around people, that can have a really positive impact on how you feel and therefore your nervous system regulation. And again, things like being out in sunshine, having your feet on the grass, all of these things have a big impact. But I know that this time of year is really hard for a lot of people. And even if you're not listening to it at this time of year in December, but another time, there's times in life where things feel hard and heavy. And again, I want us to use this as an opportunity to go, what have I not dealt with? What do I need to deal with? What have I been ignoring? What have I been scared to delve in with? And again, maybe you're thinking, oh, therapy doesn't work for me, or I don't want to talk about the past, or whatever. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions. Like when you see a therapist, not only do I always say it's kind of like a hairdresser where, you do have to try a couple out to find one that works for you, right? If a hairdresser specializes in blondes, but you're a brunette, probably not going to go to that one, right? Or if you do, they might not know how to do your hair properly. Same thing with therapists. It's really important to find one that works in a way that feels good for you and that you feel that you got something out of it. And on the flip side of that, you also need to articulate your needs. So I've had so many people come to me and I always ask, have you ever seen a therapist before? And they will say, oh, look, I tried once, but I felt like all I did was vent and I didn't get any actionable tips. And that's also on you. You need to be able to articulate to your therapist, hey, like, don't get me wrong, I find it helpful when I come and I vent and I talk about stuff, but I feel like I want to do something. I need to walk away with things. It's important to have that conversation. Again, similarly to a hairdresser, if they're starting to cut your hair in a way that you're not liking, instead of just sitting there and going, oh my God, this looks so bad, say something. Takes a little bit of gusto, but it's really important you get the right thing for what you need. Or the other way, where some people, they just need a space to be heard. They don't necessarily want to be doing things in between sessions or anything like that. They just want to come, let it out, and be done. Because maybe you don't have someone in your life who you can do that with, or they make it about themselves, or they give you an opinion that isn't unbiased, or you don't want to really hear their opinion. And that's okay too. You have to remember there is so much power in just talking to someone. Even my Zoom sessions where I talk to people via Zoom, my job is to take their story and let it go. Tell me it, I will take it and I will let it go. And it's like if you've got all these stories swirling around your body and your brain, stuck in your nervous system, the I'm not good enough story, the time this person paid me out about this, when my parents put me down, when I experienced this abuse, when I experienced this trauma, when I got made fun of, when I got bullied at work, when I sacrificed myself or I lost my self-respect and I did things I wasn't proud of or whatever those things are. You have all those stories lurking around in the darkness, in the shadow, and you're not letting them out. They are going to disrupt that nervous system, shake up the nervous system, and it ends up manifesting as survival mechanisms, high cortisol, you know, fight, flight, freeze, fawn mechanisms. And over time, that ends up resulting in all these conditions I said at the beginning, autoimmune conditions, PCOS, endometriosis, um, you know, IBS, depression, adrenal fatigue. You can see how this is all connected. And so when you work with the therapist and you feel comfortable enough to let this story go and this story go and this story go, are they still going to have some weight? Of course, that they're going to be parts of you that are still there, but they're not going to be as heavy. And over time, the load lightens the more you let it go. But if you hold that in, or you try to do it all on your own, it can be extremely difficult. And so I just want to validate that change is absolutely possible. Healing is absolutely possible, but you got to be brave enough to move forward. You got to be brave enough to see, okay, this is worse than what I thought, or I have been ignoring things, I haven't been facing things. And I need to do that now. Now is my time where I need to do that. Am I scared? Yes. Will it be a little bit painful? Yes. I sometimes say to people going to therapy or working with a mentor or a coach like myself, it's kind of like getting remedial massage or going to a physio where during, gosh, it hurts. It can hurt real good and real bad sometimes. But you end up feeling so much better afterwards. You have less tension, you feel better, but you kind of have to go through it and stick with it, right? One session of physio isn't enough for a serious injury. One session of therapy isn't enough. And so a lot of people will only go to one or two sessions, not realizing that we're just doing an intake in those first couple of sessions. We're still just getting who do you live with? Have you had mental health condition before? What's your family history? Like we're getting a timeline even. We're doing the basics in the first couple of sessions. We are not going deep straight off the bat because you wouldn't have a D&M with a stranger off the street. It's building our relationship so we can go deep in a safe and comfortable way. So it's just a reminder of you've got this and the return on investment for therapy. I cannot think of something that has a better return. So let's say you do 10 sessions with this therapist or even 20 sessions, and it costs you a few grand to do that over time. Couple of grand, few grand. I know that probably sounds expensive to some of you, but again, if that's over 10 sessions, 20 sessions, whatever, over a year, you will be changed forever. Do you understand that? You will be a better parent, a better partner, a better friend, have closer relationships, perform better at work, be more calm, have better sleep, have a better life. You tell me something that can do that much just from a few $1,000s investment. I want to hear it. Because here's the other thing is that I know people from all walks of life who say, I can't afford therapy, or I don't know when I'm going to have the time, or that kind of thing. When I can clearly see they've got their eyelashes done, that's expensive. That takes time. They have Botox, expensive. That takes time. They go to the gym all the time, expensive. Not so much, but it does take time. It's a priorities thing. You don't prioritize you and your mental health enough. That's the reality. And that's harsh. And I know that I'm being very direct with you right now, but it's really important because every time you do pay money to take care of your health and take care of yourself, you are showing yourself that you are worthy of that, worthy of being taken care of, worthy of healing. And all those younger versions of you who never got that chance to let it all out, to talk about what went on, to be seen and be heard, they'll finally get to be seen and heard. And I want to remind you that when we do trauma work, and everyone works different, so I can't speak for every therapist, but it's not always about recalling the memory. Sometimes it's just about what do we feel in our body and how can we shift it? How is this showing up for you in the way you relate to people? I think sometimes people worry that I have to go back and recall that. No, we actually try to avoid that because that's re traumatizing. You're activating that part of the brain, and we actually don't want to do that. The only time we would do something like that is if it's something like EMDR, or other therapies where we're trying to change the power that memory has on you by actually shifting parts of the memory, which takes a trained clinician. So again, this is not work that you are going to do with some 6-week NLP coach. I'm telling you that right now. Do not do this work with some mindset coach or NLP coach or life coach who's got some bullshit certification from some, you know, international coaching academy. Like, all of those academies aren't real. Those certifications don't mean jack. It's just those places do that to get money and make people feel like they're capable of doing things when they're actually doing more harm than good. And us therapists have to undo all of that work. So not only are we undoing the pain you've gone through, but then the bad coaching you've gone through too, because it was cheaper or more accessible or whatever. So, summary, let's go back to the main point. Is it burnout or depression? There's going to be similarities, right? Sleep issues, difficulty sleeping, or feeling like you want to sleep all the time, or sometimes feeling like no matter how much sleep you get, it's just not enough. Eating disturbances happens with both burnout and depression, and also anxiety, right? All of these things overlap. Not wanting to see friends and family, or pulling back from seeing friends and family. The difference is burnout, you want to, you don't have the energy. Depression, you don't want to, you don't have the energy. Same with not doing your same hobbies anymore. Lack of energy from burnout, lack of want in depression. Burnout, usually you've been experiencing for a few months, but I wouldn't say years. If it has been years, it's adrenal fatigue, it's depression, it's trauma, it's deeper. So that's the thing too, is that kind of a feeling, or waking up like feeling numb and feeling like, what is the point? Burnout, you might feel anxious and go, my God, my work freaks me out. I don't know if I want to be there anymore. That's very different to depression, where it's like, I don't know if I want to do life anymore. I don't know if I want to be me anymore. Feels like mud. Burnout feels like, wow, I'm really, really tired and I'm done. Like, I'm fried, I'm burnt out. Depression is, nah. like a numbness, almost like a I give up. I give up. So I hope that that's clear. I feel like I've said it 1,000 times already in this video, but it's worth repeating. Please, if you're listening to this and things are clicking for you, regardless of whether it's burnout or depression or anxiety or whatever is going on for you, make sure you're connected with someone. We have spots in my practice, so you can follow the links below and connect with me. I'm always taking on people when I can. So I would love to connect with you, or I can connect you with someone who's really good as well. But make sure you're connecting with a health professional of some kind. Definitely naturopaths are great with this work. Osteos are great with this work. You know, physios as well. So many different professions can help you move through the emotional, physical pain and really get to the core of what's going on here. Engage with the therapist, psychologist, social worker, counselor. You can also engage with a psychiatrist and a GP, but I would really highlight the fact that you want to get to the root cause of this, because sometimes they give you band-aid solutions and you need to be firm with, I want to go deep. Otherwise, this is going to affect you forever. Like I said, we want to release all those things stuck in the nervous system, all those old stories, old beliefs, old thoughts. We want to shift it, change it, get it out. All right, beautiful soul. This was a big one. I know it was. And it might have been a confronting one too. So I'm sending love your way, and that I have seen change in the most dire of situations, the most heartbreaking of situations. I can tell you, if they can get through it, if I can get through it, you can get through this too, whatever's going on. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you love yourself enough to take care of yourself. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next episode of Burnout to Brilliance.